All right, hello everyone. It's Mystic Juicer back with some more Yomi action. We've got IYL playoffs, Caralad versus MR. MR defeated me in IYL playoffs. This is for the grand final spot. CKR is already waiting in grand finals, so one of these two players will go on to play in the Yomi Bowl this year. So very exciting stuff for sure. MR, I'm very much expecting MR to just play Grave. He's got a very good Grave. Caralad, I think before the match started, was evaluating whether he wanted to go for Troc or go for Zane. So he did scout my match against MR. He saw me get absolutely bamboozled and dunked on in the Troc versus Grave matchup, 4-1. So maybe that's weighing on his decision making. On the other hand, maybe he thinks he knows now how MR is going to respond to Troc, and will have a better sense of scouting and be more prepared than I was. And he's got to weigh that kind of knowledge of the matchup and how MR approaches it based on what he saw, versus the potentially better matchup that he knows less about how MR is going to react to. So we'll see what decision he ends up making. Maybe he goes for something completely different. I don't know. I'm very excited to see how this turns out. All right, and here we go. Should get started any time now. Both players readying up. Got the good luck, have fun. The full good luck, have fun. Okay, Troc versus Grave. We're going to stick in the matchup. I don't disagree. So now I actually have an ability to share a little bit about how I felt about that match. Unfortunately, I didn't hit record until like a match and a half in, so I'm probably not going to put it up. It's not just because I took the loss, but it's a less interesting video that way. So MR played a fairly aggressive anti-throw opening against me in that matchup. Lot of Jack, lot of King. And a lot of Queen in the opening spots. A lot of attacks generally. Less blocking overall, I would say, would be my assessment. Some very calculated throws, because again, if you're very heavily going on the offensive, mixing in some throws as well, and then very strategic points of blocking as well. So it was very difficult to get a bead on when it was appropriate to throw versus not. Okay, going in with throws. There we see. So attack. Or actually, no, he blocked first turns. Okay, so this might be an adjustment. Maybe he's thought about Caralad, having seen the last match, seeing how he played. One thing that, MR is, like, I guess his signature MR play is lots of martial masteries. And that can be quite scary. Grave, because of the way that Grave super works, because it's a 3 ace super that deals 45 damage, it's very, very card efficient and very high damage output. And he can combo into it off of normals. It's very difficult to play as though Grave does not have it. I feel like if Grave powers up once, you almost have to, it's almost guaranteed he's got it. If he's powering up twice, it's an absolute certainty. And sometimes it's completely silent very, very early in the game. Now that could have been a cross-up attempt to go into a straight, to try to build for that, for True Power of Storms. I don't know. Maybe he already has it. It's entirely possible. MR is very fond of comboing into True Power of Storms, dodging into True Power of Storms, but he will also, at clutch moments, go for raw TPOS. So can't leave anything up to chance. It's a very scary way I feel like generally when I play Grave, I have an incredible amount of difficulty figuring out how to play properly with both the threat of and the actual reveal of True Power of Storms. MR definitely feels like he's really on the ball. He's very scary with it. Definitely a sign of a good Grave player. So far, very even life totals. MR is at a huge hand size. Troc is in a pretty good spot. Okay, neutral ace. Just trying to find 12 damage at a time. Confident that he's going to be able to power up for TPOS later in the game. So no reason to get particularly crazy with it. That was a very fast play from Caralad. Is that a queen? No, immediate block. Okay. MR is still playing a lot of normals, just doesn't want to get blown up by throws. That is definitely one of the things that I did not adjust properly to MR's play. Generally, the Graves that I've played have been more eager to block more consistently against grapplers than MR has been. MR plays very aggressively. The one thing that I'm hoping that Caralad is looking out for. Yeah, I am rooting for Caralad. I don't want MR to win. I'm sorry. He beat me. I don't want him to win. That's just the kind of player I am. Again, very often uses Martial Mastery for its ability, so that's going to leave him with less throws on average. Not that you're going to be throwing grapplers a ton of the time, but still. And then also powering up throws or discarding throws to Martial Mastery as well. So they're a nice little value trap. Okay, you've just used a throw, you've discarded a throw for its ability. Why don't I go ahead and block? You might be low on them anyway. And throw into ace, very good damage. Nearly 20 for 2 cards. Very efficient. And just generally, Grave is very good at converting random hits into solid damage. I would, not huge damage. It's not like Zane, where just like any random throw, any random attack is going to lead to 20, 25, 30, whatever. But any random, like this 2 attack, he can tack on an ace. That's going to be another 14. He can tack on a queen. That's going to be another, 10. So a lot of possibilities to just cash out itty bitty bits of damage at a time. So Caralad, 2 throws in the discard, 2 queens in the discard. Jacks are not super useful in this matchup. It depends a little bit on how often the Grave player is powering up for aces, finding his queens. Fast Jack trades with Graves Jack, just again, not ideal. You don't beat it clean. If you randomly run your slow Jack into Graves 2, he's got counters to be able to deal with that. He's got counters to be able to deal with playing, faster normals in neutral against Troc's King. So all of that can make things a little bit more challenging for Troc than other matchups. Okay, both players fairly deep into their decks now, nearly halfway. No jokers yet spent on MR's side, so it's very likely this tends to be the way that he plays this matchup tends to make it a very slow, grindy game, which means that both players are that much more likely to find their jokers. So that's going to, again, make it that much more difficult for Troc, who does not have the dominant speed attack, to land his Beast Unleashed. Okay, so we've got a healthy amount of dodges. I do not like the War Stomps. You definitely want every single possible dodge you can think of that you can possibly get your hands on against Grave. Potentially, Troc or Caralad just wants to shut down a potential dodge play in neutral here. Not too many dodges yet spent, but we're getting there. Okay, yeah, just shuts down the aggression. He knows what's in his hand. He sees no queens. He sees no double ace. He sees no jacks. So very safe to be playing Lightning Cloud there. So as Troc, you really need to find Beast Unleashed as quickly as possible, and then fish the jokers out of Graves' hand using successful dodges. Okay, shuts down King. And so far, MR looking very much in control of this matchup. Jacks are going to make it... If MR has any jacks, he should just play them in neutral as long as he wants. Really no reason not to. Ooh, catches a dodge. Yeah. Okay, that's the first joker down. Probably wouldn't have played it in that spot, I think. I mean, I guess you have to. He can throw into another 12, putting you at 20, and then you probably don't get a chance to use the joker. Ooh. Is this going to get countered? Yeah. So he goes down 3 cards to get the combat success, but then he draws a card off the normal. Immediate face down. MR probably going to respect this. Really no reason not to. Yeah, I'm very surprised that the ace came out there. And the reason I say that is he's had a look at his hand fairly recently, so the odds that it's changed dramatically are not all that high. He knows he has the other joker, so why not just either let him discard the joker for nothing, or drop down to an even smaller hand size that's even less effective. Okay, Caralad finding a throw at last. Very difficult. You're seeing now, like, it's very difficult to get successful throws against MR's playstyle. A lot of attacks. Caralad at 29. Well, you at least have all or 2 aces in the discard. I think there's a single known ace still in MR's hand. Okay, nice. Caralad connecting with a queen. Evening up the life totals. We have what? 3 queens, 3 kings in the discard. He's going to have to start relying on jacks, relying on potential ace-ace plays. Okay, gets the successful dodge off. We know there's no Beast Unleashed in hand. Yeah, wow. The game didn't even have a chance to fully render the Joker before Caralad hit pass. Okay, we have 2 aces now. And now we're getting into the late game with very low throws on MR's side. So we have 5 total throws remaining. Now, if he draws the 5, and it's very likely that he's going to, that he can throw into 19 damage. Ooh, okay. Didn't have the ace or was unwilling to play it? That's the question. Still a joker remaining for MR here. 3 queens played. So there's 1 kicking around there. Okay, powering up for potential True Power of Storms. A lot of, I think the last 3 games, 2 of the last 3 games that we played in our set came down to situations like this where, he threw the only block I had and then just played raw True Power of Storms on the next turn. In one case, the only counterplay I had was playing a joker that I still had in hand, but I was too scared of potentially jokering into a dodge. So ended up taking one soft checkmate and one actual checkmate. Okay. Not a great trade for Caralad in this instance. 15 hit points remain. Dodges are going to be very important for him. He's got 3 left, 2 left in the deck. Is he potentially... He's looking to set up a potential checkmate here. Or potential successful AA. 1 queen remains. 1 dodge left. This is where things can get very, very scary. And he's tossing the aces in favor of the cards he's already got in hand. How many blocks remain? 2, 3, 4, 6 blocks. Ooh. Now the thing is, do you respect the face down here? Probably? You just put him on 1 card a turn? I mean, you can't kill, right? Oh no! Oh, okay, we got Beast Unleashed. All right, there we go. Game 1, Caralad makes the comeback. Wow. Yeah, excellent bait there with the literally the last dodge that he had in his deck. Pretty sure. So, Caralad goes up a game in the set. MR remains grave. All right, what adjustments do we see? That's the one thing that I didn't see a tremendous amount of change in MR's gameplay over the course of our set. And that makes sense because it was successful, so why would you change it? If you're winning 4-1 with it, probably a good thing that you don't adjust your gameplay. So see if that happens here. Opens with an immediate throw. Throw into 19. That can be very, very upsetting as a grappler player. Maybe make you lose your cool. Another throw. Okay, throwing much more aggressively now. Trying to get Caralad to come out of his shell and correctly making a call that he would go into a shell. So getting some nice damage early on here. What does he discard? That's the important thing. Okay, gets rid of a 6. Ooh, this is a scary potential situation. Only a single block in Caralad's hand. So random cross up here is very potentially good setup. Yeah. Okay, Caralad does the smart thing, does the conservative thing, and just wakes up with a DP. Or I should see an anti cross up maneuver. Shutting that down, conserving his single block. But this is still a potentially scary situation for Caralad. Okay, gets a successful throw off. Eliminates another throw on MR's side, which is always helpful. Last game, I don't think we saw a tremendous amount of knockdowns on the grave side, or knocked down graves. Yeah, but I think MR's tendency is to wake up with just sort of anything, just shutting down potential cross up normals from Troc, potential throws from Troc, just playing relatively safe and conservative on there. Not always waking up with Queen. But waking up buttons a good amount of the time. So fairly even life totals, fairly even hand sizes as well. Caralad seeing if he can get that attached block off. MR saying no. Sit there with your no attached blocks. Deal with it. I think this is a game state where jacks are going to be very good play from MR. No, gets another throw off. Putting himself at low hand size. Okay, empty throws as well. So this is fairly good indicator that he's going to go for a cross-up attempt into straights. Or if he doesn't have that, it's just a good block setup. Could be a potentially good bait of a queen here. Ooh, the wake-up throw, and Caralad probably out of blocks. No face down. Yeah, he's going to go into straight. Does he have the 6? He does not. Still gets a single ace. This is still a very good situation, I think, overall for Caralad. 50 hit points to 66. Fairly low hand size grave. Single ace known. Okay, not, you know, the pressure is mounting, but it's not terrible. Okay, this is an unfortunate interaction here for Caralad. He's going to have to do something about this jack. Gets the attached block, does not draw a card for blocking, so is just going to sit at the same hand size for one more turn. So now the question is, will MR just play the jack again? Is he going to play a block to try to get around a queen, a counter queen from Caralad's point of view? No, finds the throw again, throwing this man to death. There's the 19. Caralad at 28. Definitely an advantaged spot for MR. Again, if Caralad does not have or is unwilling to play jacks or queens here, then MR's jack can really do work. Ooh, yeah, trying to play around the jack, gets tossed. Not expecting this many throws from MR, and into another ace. Brutal. This is very much looking like a one game from MR's side. So really good adjustment on his part. Way heavier throw range. Okay. Caralad survives, undercuts the jack with a jack of his own. Not dead yet, but in a very tough spot. 9 hit points is 3 blocked jacks away from death. Random queen is going to kill, and there it is. All right, game 2 goes to MR. See how Caralad felt about those first 2 games. Is he going to make a switch, or is he going to stick with Troc? I think if I had a Zane, I would probably switch to Zane at this point. But I do not. Okay, Caralad feels differently. Saying, I prefer this matchup. Maybe you just drew a lot of throws. Not going to let it rattle me. Okay. Good exchange for Caralad. Definitely want to get those jacks out of the way as quickly as possible. Taking 8 per jack is absolutely fine. What you don't want to do is, block a jack like 4 times and then run your face into it. Because that would be a 20 damage jack, and that's pretty good for a single card. Okay, undercuts the second one. Making the expertly navigating the the early game here. Getting rid of those jacks. Just pushing them out of MR's hand. Setting up for a more usual neutral. Ooh, okay, goes for the throw, gets blown up by a 3. Into straights here. Yeah. 4, 5, 6? No. Okay, just 3 cards straight. Not ideal, obviously. 12 damage and an ace is no one's idea of a good time. Or no grappler's idea of a good time, but could have been worse. Definitely don't want to be dealing with anarchy on turn 3. Or turn 4, actually. Not with an undeveloped grappler hand. Okay, nice. Queen dealing with both sides of the mix-up, getting rid of the throw, getting rid of potential, I'll just play a jack here because you're probably scared. Also dealing with single ace quite nicely. That should tell MR, though, that Caralad is still worried about the throw mix-up. Okay. MR gets a block off. Not ideal for Troc, for sure. Grave with some of the best blocks in the game. Okay, shows him the queen. Saying, do you want to get hit by queen? And, oh, okay, no, it's an even scarier mix-up. So what it is let me throw you. Because if you don't, I'm going to queen you. And if you decide to beat my throw by pushing buttons, then I'm just going to go ahead and potentially play raw True Power of Storms. Or combo into True Power of Storms. Okay, Caralad with 2 aces of his own. But again, very strongly going to be pushed to block in this instance. Yeah, okay, good. That actually works out very, very nicely. So MR still gets the draw card from knowing the opponent, but at least it's not another queen. Caralad gets halfway to his necessary attached block total to get Beast Unleashed online, and he's already got 2 aces in hand, so he's in a good spot to be able to challenge MR's hand and aces with his own. So even if he gets hit with True Power of Storms, at least he'll have gotten True Power of Storms out of MR's hand, and he'll be able to put Beast Unleashed pressure back on MR if he does. Very even life totals. MR with a more well-developed hand, definitely in an advantageous state, especially with only Jack and AA, which Caralad is unlikely to want to play. Ooh, nice counter throw. Now the question is, do you tack the 8 on here knowing that it's a precious block? And if you ever get knocked down and MR happens to have a 7 in hand and sees that you are vulnerable, you could be in a big spot of trouble. I like, though, Caralad challenging. I mean, I like it because it was successful. If he'd gotten hit with a normal there, that would have been very, very rough. Okay, that is the known Jack out of his hand. Caralad may be hoping, oh god, please stop having throws and playing them. Please start playing your normals. Please start dodging into True Power of Storms so I can get rid of dodges. There we go. Second attached block. And Beast Unleashed. Ever closer to reality. MR at 47 hit points. So Caralad nicely navigating this difficult early game. MR still very scary. Very much looking like he's got True Power of Storms online. I think we are very likely to see some more attacks come out from MR just to protect against raw Beast Unleashed. Wow, just does it. There we go. Decided to pull the trigger. See if Caralad was going to get blown up. Okay, not a bad place to allow the bluff, because it does mean that on that exchange, Caralad traded a single card for 4 of MR's. Okay, immediate power up for 2 aces back in his hand. Stop this man. Somebody stop this man. 2 queens in the discard. We've still got potential jokers. Nice throw from Caralad saying, go ahead. Play it raw again, I dare you. Throwing into some damage. Now no longer needs Beast Unleashed. He can dodge into AA if he needs to, or more likely he can dodge into Beast Unleashed, and if it doesn't work, then he can find AA to try to close out the set. Or close out the match, I should say. Definitely nowhere close to closing out the set. There's a 10 throw. Bit bold. Caralad having the queens to option select everything that isn't a counter queen from MR or a raw True Power of Storms. Yeah, nothing particularly interesting, I think, to say about the discard there. We have almost run out of attack phase cards on Trock's side, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Immediate face down. Yep, disrespects it and closes out the third game with a win. 2-1 for Caralad. MR with the immediate rematch. Sticks in the matchup. So that was a much more commanding game from Caralad. I don't want to say a dominating game because it definitely came down to very key combat reveals that ended up going in Caralad's favor in the mid game there, or in the yeah, I'll call it the mid game. As soon as MR was able to get, you know, a couple of aces in hand, it became the mid game. Okay, do we see a counter throw from Caralad here? Yes, we do. It is into a 3, so are we going to see a 10 here, or is that going to... No, we see the 10. We see the jack get discarded, so that's fine. We got the jack out of his hand. We got a 10 out of his hand. That's all fine and dandy. See another combo into straight. 12 damage and an ace, but very low hand size for MR. So this is a position where generally I would be very tempted to just go a little bit crazy with the throws, chase some blocks on Graves' side, but MR is very dedicated to not getting thrown, and kudos to him because, I mean, you know, game plan 1 is to throw him at this point, so why wouldn't you? Turns out that attacks are very good at beating throws. They have almost a 100% success rate in that matchup. Okay, so we have another jack bedeviling Caralad here. See if he goes for the grappler play of just throw it. Yep. Runs into a king. We see, what, king into ace, potentially? Yeah, there we go. 19 damage, not bad. Still has the jack. Nice life lead at this point. 30 hit points. His washboard abs undaunted. Okay, gets his jack undercut, and now we're in a more standard neutral state. So no known aces in MR's hand. No known jacks in his hand either. Okay, more jacks. Caralad nicely calling out the more aggressive playstyle, saying, "Oh well, I mean, you're too scared to block at low hand, so I'm going to hit you with some fast jacks, some queens." But the mental strain is showing. That is what, 3 jacks down? Yeah. He immediately plays it. All right, let's see. Let's see what Caralad's hand size here is. What do we got? Okay, great opening hand. Tons of blocks, tons of throws, and a single ace to make Beast Unleashed a little bit easier. Would be nice to see some kings in there, obviously, for Caralad's sake. But this is a perfectly acceptable and very stable grappler hand. The only thing that's wrong about it is having the single odd block, which he immediately used as a throw, which could be a difficult spot. Okay, we got more straights. 4, 5, 6 for big damage. I think the only thing he could tag on there would be another jack, and luckily all 3 out of 4 are in his discard, so very unlikely that we're going to see those. 43 hit points remain for Caralad. 6-card hand with a known ace on Graves' side. So I would call this fairly even. Fairly even game state right now. Ooh. Not a great trade for Caralad, but not the worst one either. We get rid of the known ace in MR's hand. 31 hit points is still fairly good. Potentially 2 combos away from dying. Queens are very scary now on Graves' side. Ooh, chases it with another single ace. Caralad luckily had the block up. Gets put to 28. And 2 known aces in the discard for MR, so we don't have to worry about True Power of Storms for a little while as Trock. However, we've spent 2 of our aces, so we're also in a similar position. Our hand is probably kind of middling. Again, we've got lots of blocks. We've got the throws that we need. But we don't really have any of the tools to pressure MR at 54 hit points. Yeah, and MR's queens are going to be a menace. So again, we are in a potentially lethal spot here. If MR has 2 kings, he can throw into 2 kings, or just randomly, double king into something, into 6 or a 5 or something. Yeah, Caralad needs to find dodges, and he needs to find those aces again. Ooh, gets the throw in. That's going to even things up a little bit. Throw into 8 for 20, yeah. So not dead yet. MR powers up throws. Still plenty in the tank, though. Okay. Caralad getting aces back. Potentially has Beast Unleashed here. All right, we get to see if he does or not. MR again. That's 1 less throw in hand. That's 2 less throws in hand. Now we've seen before this setup has lent itself to a 10 throw last time. See if we see anything different here. The differences in the game state here is throw into ace is lethal here for MR. Does he believe that Caralad is going to ace from this position? I think a throw here is pretty good from MR. He doesn't lose if he gets hit with ace-ace. In fact, it removes ace-ace from Caralad's hand. Okay, goes for the big 5. Still 1 known ace in the discard. So unlikely that MR has True Power of Storms here. There's the dodge. We know he didn't have Beast Unleashed on the last turn. Are we going to see it? Is he going to empty dodge here? Ooh, runs into the Joker. Okay, MR sitting at 6 cards. Caralad at 5. 2 known aces in Caralad's hand. No more dodges known in Caralad's hand. We've seen a fair amount of queens played. Oh no, it's single queen, single jack played. So face cards, very strong. 2 queens played on MR's side. But random 2 queen or queen and single ace is going to be a deadly spot for him. Ooh, goes for the throw and gets exploded here. This is potentially lethal. Did not have the Joker. And MR is going for lethal on the play. Yeah, there it is. Evening up the set, 2-2. with exactsies, preserving the single ace in hand just in case, so he still had pressure off the next turn. Would have left Caralad at 11, which would have been enough to close out with single ace. All right, no counter picks. Both of them comfortable in the matchup, willing to remain in it. Ooh, that's why we don't like to see first turn king. Very high likelihood of jack coming out first turn from grave. Perhaps forced. Although, I mean, MR has played, I mean, there was that one game where he played a very heavy throw game to good success, so I don't disagree with opening with a throw. It's just the king I probably would not have thrown with. Ooh. Not a great exchange here. Would like to see Caralad throw on turns right after the jack is played for a little while, just to force MR to adjust his play. I think jack into throw has been a very, very common pattern so far. So very good starting damage, and not putting grave in a terrible hand state either. Still has the jack. Caralad still has to contend with that. Okay, content to block. MR potentially going for straight there. Extremely unlikely that he would have true power storms. If he did, there's no way we see him follow up that throw, that successful throw. We would have seen a 4 cross-up attempt there. Okay, Caralad trying to find that jack, runs into a block instead. See what MR reveals. Okay, shows him a 2. Haven't been keeping super... so far, I think he's been honest every single time on these reveals. So it's a question of how Caralad wants to deal with this. He can just go for a block. Ooh! Goes for the option select king, saying, I don't think you have a 10. And doesn't get to find out because he wins combat, which is the better thing to happen anyway. Evens up the life totals quite nicely. MR finds 2 aces. And the hunt, as they say, is on. It's serious time now, folks. Nice counter throws from Caralad. Remaining on that. Finds free 18 damage. Pushing MR potentially to just play the damn thing raw. Last time MR waited 2 turns and then played it raw. Okay, trying to go for dodges into it. We haven't seen that a lot. We have not seen a ton of that. So kudos to MR for saying, you're definitely not throwing again. If there's one thing I'm sure of, it is that you are not throwing again. Okay. Caralad, get thrown. It's going to be an empty throw, yep. Does MR have a 7? Because this would be the turn to play it. No, he does not, or elects not to. I think far more likely that he doesn't have the 7. So we've got 3 6s and a 4 and 2 2s. Oh, I mean, like, you're blocking odd. If you have any choice in the matter, you're blocking odd here as Troc. Especially if you have a Joker as backup. This is the point where you can play safe. Ooh, goes for the queen. Expecting the cross-up attempt. Face down is immediate. There's the bluff. MR not committing to his his earlier strategy of letting it rip on the first one. But again, does trade a single card of his for 2 cards of Trox, further constraining his hand. Ooh, catch the throw with another 15 damage king. 40 hit points remain. But any successful True Power of Storms is going to significantly alter this this game state. So I'm not going to call it even quite yet. Especially with no second. If we had a second attached block here, and then we saw that power up, I would say, okay, yeah, this is likely to be a fairly even game state. Slight advantage to Caralad in the situation because he does have potential lethal, or at least the threat of potential lethal. Whereas MR, even after he hits with True Power of Storms, is going to be still finding a way to close it out. Or needing to find a way to close it out. Now, he's not going to be far, and every queen is going to be that much more deadly once that, if he does hit with True Power of Storms. But, yeah. All that to say, yeah. There we go. Second attached block. Now it's a very different world. Very few throws played by MR so far. Tons of dodges played, though. Okay. All right, so confirms, lots of dodges, no third ace. I don't have to worry about Beast Unleashed. Ooh, okay. Yeah, MR tossing away the kind of useless 5s and 6s. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. 6 dodges remain for MR. They double as normals, so we are likely to see, so probably less than 6 dodges, because we're likely to see them in neutral as normals as well. Try to combo into things. Okay, there's the dodge. Threat of Beast Unleashed here. No, just the normal throw. Put you down to 30. That is a single known dodge remaining in Caralad's hand, though. Caralad has been very successful with dodges on MR's knockdown. Oh, and there we go. Changes it around, chases the block, and is going to sink. Yeah, he can't. I mean, he combo into the 5. Okay, combos into a 6. Puts him at 12. Lethal range for kings. Dodge into AA. Raw AA are both lethal. No jokers yet spent on MR's side. This is where conserving dodges is very, very important, because if you don't have the dodges, then MR is perpetually safe against Beast Unleashed. I guess not tremendously important at this stage, because he only really needs single or double ace. Oh, closes it out with the raw king throw. Counting on MR being unwilling to play True Power of Storms in neutral, if he even had it. Potential that he did not. But I think fairly likely that he did. Driver King equals win games. Yeah, it's pretty good. And Caralad now on set point. MR needs to catch up and then take another one to close this out and advance to the International Yomi Bowl Grand Finals to face CKR. Okay. Caralad gets an early attached block, but succumbs to the power of the lightning bolt, or the lightning cloud. So, again, I want it on the record. I want Caralad to throw on this turn, because MR has been very studious in throwing on Jack follow-up. See if the pattern holds, or if he breaks it. But I think it's a risk you're willing to take here. Okay, follow-up king, successfully blocked. I am the dumb one. Very early double attached blocks from Caralad, so this is a very good start to his game here. Life totals even, but game state definitely favoring Caralad right now. Okay, tries to find a jack, runs into a 4 instead, shutting down a straight attempt. Okay, immediate power up for single ace. This is where randomly raw true power of storms could be quite challenging. I feel like jack is an excellent play from MR here. Ooh, goes for the throw instead. The throw could indicate a... So, I mean, he's been willing to just throw into single ace after powering up for it in the past, but I think going for the throw and potentially setting up a true power storm situation, also very good. Okay, spends a dodge to get around the jack. Just finds 15 damage. Not too bad. Very nice life lead right now for Caralad. Yeah, everything in the game state currently favoring Caralad quite heavily. Hopefully he's not checkmated to raw true power of storms. Okay, he's got a 6. Things could definitely be worse. He's got the Joker as well, which is very handy. As MR, I'm probably playing the jack. That's the safest possible play. It denies a draw. It takes care of the 6 block if Caralad chooses to play it. But Caralad could just throw. Throw would be very effective there, yeah. Okay, so MR finds the king. His chance to deal some damage here. Okay. King into ace. 19 damage is not bad. Fairly card efficient. Still at 6 cards. Still has that troublesome jack for Caralad to have to deal with. Ooh. Dodge looking for the jack, finds a queen instead. Not a bad spot to be. Yeah, that would definitely be a spot where I would have held back. So we lose a king. MR goes up to 7 cards. No known aces in his hand. We still know that Caralad has, what, 4... Well, no, he's, I think, got the 2 5s, the Joker, and the 6. Nice block. MR unwilling to play that jack. Perhaps looking to combo into it, throw into it. Throw into 6 jack is 21 damage, which is nothing to sneeze at. Very even life totals, very even hand sizes. We know Caralad's hand is relatively undeveloped. We have no known face cards, a single block, so I would call this game state fairly even, maybe slightly MR advantaged. There's the queen. Play him if you draw him. Yeah, so definitely an advantaged spot for MR now. Powers up for single ace. Like to see Caralad block here. Oh, especially, yeah. So powers up 2 8s. Plays the 7. He's got to discard another card. Discards a 10. We're rapidly getting into low throw game state here. Yeah. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 throws remain. He's exactly 8 ways to punish blocks from here on out. Well, with the jacks as well, it's a little higher. Okay, Caralad still trying to find the way to get that jack out of MR's hand, running into queens instead. The higher his life total, the more he can make this low throw percentage or low throw probability work for him. The lower his life, the less it matters. No jokers spent on either side. No, one joker spent on MR's side, which is a ray of hope for the Troc player here. Still trying to play around that jack. In the meantime, connects with the queen. Evens up the life totals again. Very close games. More throws going into the discard. Okay. So we know we've got a jack. We've got some throws. We've got some blocks. So again, very stable hand from Caralad. Not loving these war stomps, but I mean, it's been working out for him. Okay, gets rid of a 6. What, 3, 4, 5... 6, 7 throws remain. Fair amount of dodges left, though. Good block on Caralad's side. Gets rid of another queen. That is the last of the queens. The only way they're coming back is if MR successfully blocks and then successfully hits with the revealed card. So Caralad, in effect, has the means to permanently deny MR queens from here on out. Not tremendously useful or valuable information, or particularly effective piece of the gameplay puzzle at this point. But does bear mentioning. Okay, gets rid of a single ace. A lot of chip damage racking up here for Caralad. But I don't disagree with just blocking up to as high a hand as you can, trying to find aces. You still got still got 5 dodges left in the deck. And again, 1, 2, 5, 7 throws. 7 throws in 30 cards. 5 dodges in 37. 6 throws. So each of those, each unsuccessful throw on MR's part is going to be really hard felt. There's one less opportunity to challenge blocks and dodges. Finally, we get that jack out of the way. And that's what, the second jack. Okay, so there's potential for more. 3 jacks played, 2 queens played on Caralad's side. So we're rapidly going to get to a game state where he's either got to dodge into Beast Unleashed or play double ace to contest the neutral. There we go. Beast Unleashed on the table. 1 less throw. That is 5 throws remaining. Okay, no dodges on the table. That's very important to know. But we've got, 3, 4, 5. And that is the last Martial Mastery, which is very important as well. So our Caralad's hand from here on out is going to be that much more protected. MR will need to rely on reads and valuation rather than just checking. Oh no, that was never going to work. Oh, Caralad. Have you learned nothing from me? So it's not over unless he suddenly has True Power of Storms, but that's unlikely, yeah. So 2 into nothing, but he does defang Beast Unleashed. Got to get more attached blocks here. So definitely not an ideal game state. How are we doing for blocks? Okay, we still got plenty of 2s, 6s, 7s. Yeah, we're okay. Well, and when I say that, I'm 3s. Yeah. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. Caralad getting a little antsy here and playing right into MR's fear. Okay, king into jack. Caralad gets away with the joker. Surprised we didn't see that last turn. Maybe he just drew the king. Okay, here we go. Powering up for aces. Not quite the dominant speed move, since they do clash with single aces, but essentially that trade is bad enough that it is probably in Caralad's favor. On the other hand, clashing that way and then successful dodges on MR's part are going to be that much more scary as the game goes on. He's, I think, rapidly running out of blocks as well, though. Okay, there's one. And now Caralad's in a place where he needs to find the life lead before either of their decks run out. This could be a very tough spot. If I am Caralad, I am probably ace-acing here. Ooh, more throws in the discard. And 10s to boot. That is very important to note. Now we do potentially have a True Power of Storm situation. We have a known... We have 2 known aces. We have a known 9, or not a known 8, yeah. Ooh, takes the throw. Gets a queen as well. All of this is bad news. Very likely we're just going to see an ace come out here. No reason not to. Don't need to win with True Power of Storms when your opponent is at 4, or no, a little bit more than 10. Yeah. 12. Ah, what an unhappy number for our Troc player. For anyone playing against a Grave player. 1, 2 throws. Yeah, that is the unfortunate thing you do not want to see as Troc. He's got to get a fair amount of successful dodges here too, and there's at least there's a joker left. Ooh, that's a way to do it. Still needs to get... actually, does he have any kings left? He has a single king left, which would be just enough to put him at 1 hit point above his opponent. But I don't think we're going to see a timeout game state here. There's too much damage still in people's hands. I think Caralad has ace-ace. Gets the successful dodge. Is he going to be patient or is he going to go for it? This is a fairly tough call to make. Okay, goes for the normal throw and is correct. Putting MR at 18. Clash is now a double KO. As Caralad, you probably don't want to take that. You want to close the game out in a successful fashion. Three 10s in discard. He dodged with a 10, so if I'm MR, I'm counting on the fact that basically it's only the 10 I need to count, because otherwise you would want to keep the 10s. Probably you would prefer to dodge with a 9 than a 10. Tough spot. No lethal off of throw for Caralad, which is important to note. So MR can block here, potentially. Ooh, spooky. Spooky final turns. Still have known ace on MR's side here. Could at any point close things out. And there it is. Double KO. So we reset. We go back to the opening turns. Yep. Gotta do it all again. Okay. That was game 6, so this is game 7. Ooh, Caralad looking for that jack. Also trying to play around potential normals in neutral. MR has not played a tremendous amount of 5s and 6s and just kind of just generally normals in neutral. I feel like at least lower percentage than I typically see from Graves. Nice block. MR gets the draw. Caralad gets the, I would argue, more valuable attached block and draw. Still 9-card grave fairly quickly. And a single known ace already in MR's hand. So this is typically where we're going to see from MR a king or throw range. Caralad playing the king into that potential range, making a call. I think it's more likely you have throws than you have kings that you're willing to play. He is rewarded with 15 damage. Ooh, okay. MR playing a more conservative range this time. A more block-heavy range, I should say. Punishing Caralad's attempt to punish his previous plays. Okay, 2 known aces, revealed 3. So if he has True Power of Storms, very likely that we're going to see that 3 come out. Either side. So Caralad needs to be careful about how he's going to react to this. No joker means he can't play, for instance, the queen here, and then just bluff or option select the True Power of Storms play. So if I'm Caralad, I am sitting back and blocking. Probably with the 2 or the 8. Very likely the 2. Wow! The balls on this man. Chasing the 3 dodge. Sinking 18 hit points into that. Bold plays, for sure. Grave at 11-card hand, though. So True Power of Storms is an ever-present threat. 2 known aces. We know Caralad's hand is a little bit soft in terms of blocks, so MR could potentially set up a really nice situation with a good throw here. Okay, elects to go in with jacks instead. Now Caralad does have 2 attached blocks and 2 aces, and a known dodge, so he is nicely set up for the mid-game here. Just needs to build a bit more of a hand. Again, this mix-up is that much scarier because True Power of Storms is a potential either as dodged into or comboed into here. If it wasn't present, probably just press throw. Okay, blocks the king. It's always eerie when Graves start playing kings when they've got suspected True Power of Storms in hand. It's like, what are you fishing for? You can't combo into it with that, but what are you doing exactly? I mean, it is 26 damage with a single ace tagged on if you've got the other king. Okay, no jokers yet. Gets rid of his only dodge. Ooh, okay, forces the counter. Interesting counter from MR. Again, that implies he wants to dodge here, because he can still do everything else in terms of comboing into True Power Storms, playing it raw, if he was knocked down. War Stomp actually took 2 cards out of his hand. Caralad turtling up, just digging into his deck as hard as he can, looking for more dodges, looking for stuff he can power up. Okay, True Power of Storms confirmed. 3rd known ace in MR's hand. What are we looking like? Fair amount of throws already in the discard. That's nearly like half of the normals in his discard at the moment. Very little played. We suspect Caralad does not have a joker. Okay. Gets a dodge caught. This is very likely to be a True Power of Storm setup. I think he's played the 7, and that is the only known block in his hand. So True Power of Storms, very scary here. So 3-way mix-up. Dodge into True Power of Storms, combo into True Power of Storms, raw True Power of Storms. Okay, plays the queen instead. Caralad very happy with that combat loss. Like, oh, thank God. I didn't take 45. Back in the neutral. Again, still unknown whether he has any blocks. So MR's plays here of just playing normals, very strong. Okay, that's strong too. Gets rid of the 3, no draw. 3 chip damage. Anytime MR decides to play a normal, it's going to be very important for Caralad to have the right answers in hand. He does have a jack, but jack is very scary to play in this situation. Definitely you're playing the fast side, and that is not a tremendous amount of damage. Ooh, do we have more 10s? We do. Do we have a joker? Because he is definitely comboing into this. Yeah, there it is. Nope. Okay. So, 21 hit points remain. 53 damage to do. 2 known aces. Again, no known blocks in hand. That is the challenge for Caralad right now. Okay. Gets rid of the jack. That is very important. We have 2 queens, 2 jacks in the discard. That's very good. 3 known aces in the discard. Also very important. We've played most of our queens. 2 kings remain. Lots of dodges to be found. Lots of blocks to be found. Very challenging, though, for Trock to build up a hand of blocks from this game. Oh, no. Caralad, why? It's just not going to work. This is potentially good in that it sets up an expectation that Caralad is willing to play Beast Unleashed, but this is pretty much GG. MR just has to play that ace, and then anything else that deals chip, and this is going to be it. Powering up with blocks that you probably don't have anymore. Well, I'm really not sure what this is accomplishing, to be quite honest. But I mean, at this point, what else can you do? So you're going to AA, or you're going to dodge into AA, and then you're going to Gold Burst, probably, because that's your only real way to get into this game. Ooh, this could be potentially very bad. See how desperate those power-ups were. Okay, yeah, I was half right. I was half right. Doesn't have the dodges to complete the other side of the mix-up. As MR, I just mash my ace here. If I have a queen, doubly so. Maybe dodge. Or block, just to, if you think that the joker is going to come out this turn, or the aces are going to come out this turn. Okay, all right, navigates the single ace. Still super dead to random queen, though. So 4 aces in hand, jack in hand, a 2. I mean, he has the damage to close this game out in hand. The question is just how to get there. Do we have jokers played yet? No, on MR's side. That is very rough. Okay. Pretty much the same game state, though. Potentially, he could be out of blocks, depending on how his hand management's been. And there it is. MR evens up the set 3-3. Yeah, Caralad getting just a little bit too excited with the Beast Unleashed there, and that pretty much sealed the deal. All right, final game of the series, unless we see another double KO. Please, God, no double KOs. MR has rematched. Is Caralad going to make a character change now? No, he is not. Yeah, yeah. If you're not confident with any other player or any other character against Grave, I think, yeah, sticking with Trock is fine. But I am a little surprised that we haven't seen. Yeah, I'm very surprised we haven't seen the Zane. Yeah, don't get distracted now, Caralad. CPAT, leave him alone. All right, we've got one jack out of the way. We're winning. Is this going to be another jack, or is this going to be a block? There's the throw. It's happening. The damage is piling up. Throw into ace. Spooky start. This is pretty much a repeat of game 1, actually. Now, Caralad did come out on top in that one, but this is rough. This is very scary. Okay, tosses a 2, sees a pretty standard grappler hand. What is the play? Okay, big 5 coming out. Haven't seen a lot of those this set. First attached block. Okay, navigates another jack. MR, I think, he's in the same, he's reverted to kind of the typical range that he's been playing. It's hard to describe, though. It's fairly aggressive. I would probably play, heavily favor queens and stuff if I'm Caralad. There we go. Making the comeback, 9 damage at a time. Evens up the life. MR still on a fairly low hand size. Caralad, single attached block, and MR has shown no real hesitation to attack into potential blocks here. Ooh, third jack. Right? Yeah, third jack. That is unfortunate. However, we've got 2 attached blocks for Caralad. It's a good spot to be in. If I'm Caralad, I'm probably throwing here. Okay, that's a way to get around it. Surprised MR didn't go for his typical throw there. Would have been successful. Oh, here we see the power-ups. Okay. 1 known ace, 6-card hand. Nice counter throw by Caralad here. You tack on a 7. Yeah, okay. Okay, MR tossing out a lot of throws right now. Okay, so no Beast Unleashed, 2 dodges though. And 2 blocks, which is very good. If I'm MR, I am probably blocking even in neutral so that I have the odd block for cross-up defense. No jokers in Caralad's hand though, so this is a spooky situation. MR has shown he's at least willing to play 2 Power Storms in neutral occasionally. Will now be that time. That would put Caralad at 20 hit points, random queen territory. MR thinking long and hard about how he wants to do this. Okay, finds the throw. Caralad blocking correctly. Two Power Storm setup. Very strong indicator that he's got it. More evens played than odds. Successfully blocks his way up. Very scary situation. Not a place you... I mean, he didn't even have DPs, so it's not like he can even really threaten the queen or jack there. And even if he did, then, you know, MR decides, oh, I'm just going to dodge here. Gets free 45 damage. Certainly not ideal. Gets the dodge off. This could do it. Immediate bluff from MR. Just does it. Is it real? It's probably real. He hasn't said GG. Yeah. Had it. Yeah, was unwilling to take the risk. I mean, even dodge into ace-ace there is really strong. So if you've got the Joker, yeah, definitely you're playing it there. But what a swing in the odds of this game. Caralad in a very tricky spot. Counter throw, successful counter throw. Any follow-up? Perhaps evaluating whether he wants to throw a jack on here. Whether he has enough blocks to be able to tack on an 8. Tacking on an 8 leaves MR at 16, which would be lethal range. Oh, no, sorry. How did I get that so wrong? It was 36, right? Ah, 38. Never mind. Yeah, never mind. Okay, block, block. MR not quite responding to Caralad's tendency to throw and then immediately block up. That was a very fast card. What does that tell you as MR? I have no idea. Not a clue. There's the 5. Better hope this bluff or this joker works. Okay, immediately follows up with True Power of Storms. Does not have it. 8 hit points remain. And MR might take this set yet. 23 hit points is a very awkward total, especially with the power up for another ace. Oh my god. If MR has a queen here, it's pretty much GG, because I think the temptation from Caralad's side is going to be mash queen if he's got it. See how this goes. And that's going to do it. Well played, MR. Yeah, very tight set, and MR comes out on top. Well done. Really, really well played on MR's part. Unfortunate for Caralad, but we are going to have MR first time in the Yomi Grand Finals and facing off against CKR. So that's going to be very, very exciting. We're going to see, very likely, you're going to see Zane versus Grave for the Grand Finals. So looking forward to seeing how MR responds to Zane. And whether CKR has done his homework. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the match. And until next time, enjoy yourselves some Yomi. Cheers.